Hello and welcome back to another video, this time talking about the potentiality for Nintendo Switch 2 and Final Fantasy XIV. This is just a very small snippet, but my hype is everlasting when it comes to news that could pertain to a future release of our beloved Final Fantasy XIV on the Switch 2 system. My Switch 2 is pretty great. I call it my little RPG machine. I'm enjoying playing old school RPGs. And I'm enjoying playing new games as well. But yeah, there's something missing. So today was posted on the 21st of August 2025, a post on Video Game Chronicles, and this is a website basically where there was an interview taking place, and it's all about Final Fantasy XIV. So it says Final Fantasy producer and director Naoki Yoshida says that Square Enix has had positive discussions with Nintendo over a potential Switch 2 port of the MMO Final Fantasy XIV. Speaking to Video Game Chronicle at Gamescom, Yoshida discussed the potential benefits of bringing Switch 2 into Final Fantasy XIV's lineup of platforms and said he'd hoped there would be good news for expectant fans in the future. Yoshi-P also hinted that the latest single-player installment, Final Fantasy XVI, could eventually also come to Switch 2. Yoshi-P says, quote, "For me, it's just my aim to provide Final Fantasy XIV and XVI to as many players as possible, and I hope that as many players as possible will be able to enjoy those two games," he said. He says, "We are putting in our best efforts to ensure that this happens, so it's fine to convey to your readership that I consider the possibilities very positively, and we are putting in our best efforts, so I hope players will look forward to possibilities in the future." That's a lot of possibilities. "But I just ask for a little bit more time," end quote. They say here on the website, the veteran director and producer went on to discuss the benefits of a potential port of the game. He continues, "When it comes to existing Final Fantasy XIV players, if hypothetically a Switch 2 version was released, they would have the chance, for example, going through the main story, they could play that on the PC and do raiding on the PC. But when it comes to other types of content, they could sit back, relax on the sofa with the Switch 2 in hand, and they could just do their gatherer and crafter content. And I'm super excited about that sort of possibility for our players. When it comes to players who haven't played Final Fantasy XIV before, the younger generation of players, if they started playing 14 on Switch 2, of course, being an MMO, it might be a new genre for them, and I would be super excited to get these new players into this genre and enjoying the game as well. So to this end, we have been discussing with Nintendo, and the discussions have been positive, and I do hope that players will look forward to hopefully good news in the future." This news then comes straight after, as they say here, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade was announced for Nintendo Switch 2 at launch. A noted insider previously claimed that 7 Remake would be released for Switch 2 in 2025, followed by its sequel Rebirth in 2026, which makes perfect sense. Of course, all credit to Andy Robinson, editor-in-chief of Video Game Chronicle, and link will be in the description as per usual. Go support your interviewers and your games media before they all disappear off the planet, quite frankly. But yes, what a fantastic little write-up, and it's interesting. Honestly, from a perspective of someone who plays so heavily on PC, I do like the fact of putting it on the Switch 2, not for the reason of just having another console to play it on, but for that relaxation. I do end up playing my Switch 2 with, admittedly Switch 1 games at the moment, mostly RPGs, at higher frame rates on, in the bed, basically. That's where I play my Switch 2. A lot of people take it on buses and things. For me, it's my wind down time after I've done on the PC. I can just relax in bed, play some whatever it is. Recently, it's been Bravely Default and Zelda. Obviously, you've got those options as well. You may dislike Nintendo, you may dislike the Switch 2, but at the end of the day, is it a positive to have more players in this game? Absolutely. I do think the other side of the argument is the more platforms this comes out for, the more they have to limit the graphical potential and stuff. But honestly, after playing on the Switch 2, I honestly think there is ways of making games, still look good on newer platforms, right? On PC. I don't think they could, you know, be held back so much. I think that's kind of like an archaic way of thinking these days. I don't think it is going to potentially hold back, or, you know, as much as Xbox Series S holds back Final Fantasy 14. 14 on PC will always have PC options, and there will always be console options. It's a lot extra work for a developer, so that could be put into the mix. You know, how long that takes to actually facilitate internally, but I don't know those numbers, and I don't think anybody really does unless you work at Square Enix. But I think it's a positive for the most part. I'm excited to just, you know, plug in Switch 2, grab that thing and play it in bed, basically. You know, that's what I'm interested in mostly from this. But I can understand the idea of getting, you know, a younger generation of players into the game. The free trial is incredible. It is the most generous free trial of any video game MMORPG I've ever played. So, yeah, the more players, the better, in my opinion. Let me know what you think about this. I can assure you that there will be people saying this is terrible because it holds back the game. I don't know if I can agree with you. Like I say, I think things have advanced. I would have agreed with you a while back, like maybe a couple of years ago. But toggles and switches on consoles and things to make them into pro versions has kind of made me think, well, actually, maybe there isn't really a ceiling to that. That there isn't really a reason why you can't scale things if you put enough of the budget into it, of course. And that's the discussion for another time, isn't it, really? But anyway, let me know what you think about this. I'm interested to see your reactions. Are you excited to play this on another console? Or not. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. There's no wrong answers. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.